Would you have ever associated the Olympics with anxiety? No, right? But what about the athletes who are competing? Imagine having to compete under extremely high pressure. Everyone, the whole world is watching each and every move you make. People have high expectations out of you. Your countrymen want you to win the gold. The people you're competing with are literally the best in the world. Of course, that's a high pressure situation, and hence, a lot of athletes feel anxiety to the point where they can't even compete. On the same note, let me tell you the story of a champion who literally had to face his fears. His name is Ori Sassoon. Sassoon, who is from Israel, was just 9 years old when he started training in judo. He loved it. As he trained more, he gained confidence and he felt like he belonged to the judo community. It became a safe space for him. But soon, he encountered one problem that changed the course of his life. At Sassoon's very first local competition, the stress and anxiety was killing him. It was just way too overwhelming for him. And his opponent could see this fear. Unfortunately, this was not a one-time thing. The same scenario repeated right before every competition. What was happening to him? Ori Sassoon was most likely experiencing performance anxiety. We know this today, but at that time, Sassoon was just confused. It looked like he feared both success and failure, which is an extremely tough spot for an athlete to be in. Also, let's not forget that timing and strategy is everything in judo. So his anxiety could potentially lead him to a lot of failures. Yet Ori Sassoon persisted. Then at age 15, he walked into his first international competition in Germany. As he stared down his opponent, he felt the anxiety rushing back. It was happening all over again. Unfortunately, Sassoon lost the first round of the competition, and with that, the Israeli Judo Federation stopped sponsoring his international competitions. That was a tough one for him to digest. He didn't let that failure stop him. He persisted, but so did his anxiety. But slowly he became a known name in Israel. He was good at what he did and he was climbing the ladder, and that's how he set his eyes on the Olympics. But this time he knew he had to do something about his fear if he wanted to win that Olympic medal. So as a young 20-year-old, he found himself seated in front of a sports psychologist discussing his fears and what was stopping him from achieving what he wanted. So with this, he slowly learned that he could turn his weakness into his strength. He also realized that courage was a skill that he had to learn. So with his newfound learnings and realizations, he made 3 changes. So the first thing he had to deal with was his need for immediate gratification. Now this is something which was partly responsible for his anxiety. As an athlete, he wanted to win and he wanted to win right now. And this skyrocketed his anxiety. So what he did is he started journaling positive thoughts and writing down positive affirmations like, I am going to be successful. What this journaling habit did is it reminded him that he needs to obviously put in the hard work, but also patiently wait for the results to follow. So the second thing he had to deal with was his avoidance of any risks. So what this means is that Ori Sassoon would avoid any risks in his judo strategy. However, judo is all about the right strategy and right timing. So he had to learn to take measured and necessary risks in his strategy. The third thing he had to work on were his irrational negative thoughts. Ori Sassoon realized that his fears were not even that big. His fears were not in proportion to the situation. Somewhere in his head, he was catastrophizing about how bad it could be to lose a competition. But his fears were not in proportion to the actual reality. So with that, he had to come to terms with the fact that losing a competition, even if it's the Olympics, was not a catastrophe or a disaster. So at age 25, he began competing again. But he had just 1 year left until the 2016 Rio Olympics. And so he made a lot of changes to his strategy and training. Ori Sassoon was going to compete at heavyweight, and he ate 5,000 calories each day. When the Rio Olympics rolled in, Ori Sassoon was calm. He was ready. He won the bronze medal, and do you know what he did after that? He slept with the medal in his arms. Now with the Paris Olympics coming up, watch athletes compete with this lens. It makes them so much more human, don't you think?